I get it. You've scrolled through endless listings of car lifts that promise garage-level strength and easy storage, only to wonder if you're about to spend a small fortune on something that will wobble the first time you try to raise a truck. That hesitation is real, because the last thing anyone wants is to hook a lift onto a chassis and hear that dreaded creak while the vehicle hovers inches off the ground. The VEVOR portable car lift is one of those heavyweight-rated machines that looks perfect on paper, but the question is whether it lives up to the hype when you actually roll it out of the box. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, let's talk about the environment this lift is built for. VEVOR markets it as a portable solution, and the word portable is doing a lot of heavy lifting here. The unit comes on a set of lockable wheels and folds down to a size that will actually fit into a typical home garage or a small shop bay. If you've ever tried to maneuver a traditional two-post lift into a cramped space, you know the pain of needing a whole dedicated room. With this model, you can drive it in, hook it up to a standard 120V outlet, and start lifting a mid-size sedan in under a minute. That speed of deployment is a real time saver for anyone who runs a side business fixing cars on weekends, or for a DIY enthusiast who just wants to change a tire on a lifted SUV without crawling under it. The capacity rating of 7,000 pounds is where the lift really shows its ambition. In everyday terms, that means you can comfortably raise everything from a compact hatchback up to a full-size pickup truck, as long as the vehicle's weight stays within that limit. I've seen owners use similar lifts for a 2020 Ford F-150, which tips the scales at about 4,300 pounds, and still have plenty of headroom for the hydraulic system. What matters more than the headline number is how the lift handles the weight distribution. The VEVOR design spreads the load across a broad base of carbon steel arms, which helps keep the platform stable even when you're working on one side of the vehicle. In practice, that stability translates to less wobble when you're tightening a bolt on the driver's side wheel, and you don't have to constantly check if the lift is shifting. Now, let's get into the safety side of things. The lift includes a set of mechanical lock pins that engage automatically once the platform reaches its set height. That means you can walk under the car with confidence, knowing the lift won't suddenly drop if the hydraulic pressure fluctuates. The lock pins are easy to engage and disengage, and they stay firmly in place until you lower the platform. I've watched a couple of home garage users demonstrate the process on YouTube, and the motion is smooth, almost like a small elevator. The only caveat is that you have to be diligent about checking that the pins are fully seated before you start any work underneath, a habit that any professional mechanic already has, but a new user might overlook. One of the biggest practical strengths of this lift is the adjustability of the lifting height. The maximum height of 26.8 inches lets you raise most passenger cars high enough to comfortably change a tire or inspect the undercarriage. For larger trucks, you might not get the full clearance you'd have with a taller two-post lift, but you'll still be able to get under the chassis for most routine maintenance. The height adjustment knob is intuitive. You turn it a few clicks, and the hydraulic cylinder moves in or out, giving you fine control over how high the platform goes. That kind of granularity is useful if you're working on a low-profile sports car that doesn't need a full foot of clearance. On the flip side, there are a few hidden trade-offs that buyers should be aware of before clicking Add to Cart. Because the lift is designed for portability, the hydraulic pump is a compact 120V unit rather than a dedicated three-phase industrial motor. That means you'll notice a slight hum when the pump is running, and the lift takes a bit longer to reach its full height compared to a permanent shop lift. If you plan to raise and lower a vehicle repeatedly throughout the day, you might feel the pump's endurance being tested. Also, the lift's maximum height, while sufficient for most cars, can be a limitation if you own a lifted Jeep or a custom lowrider that requires more than 30 inches of clearance to comfortably work under. Another point that often comes up in real-world conversations is the matter of storage space. The fold-down dimensions are indeed garage-friendly, but you'll still need a dedicated corner to keep the unit out of the way when it's not in use. The wheels lock securely, but the unit can roll if you're not careful on an uneven floor. I've heard a few users mention that they add a small rubber mat under the lift too.